is Signpost Draft Uncommon Up the Beanstalk actually breaking Modern like everyone says? Let's jump into a league and find out. So here's our Beanstalk Cascade deck, and I'm going to keep this deck super short and sweet because honestly, most of the cards in the deck don't matter, and it'll make sense once you actually see the deck in action. I did want to say, I believe that Aspiring Spike originally created this archetype. You see it says Killa SGV up there. That's the person who most recently 5-0'd with it. But anyway, let's talk about the important cards of this deck really quick and jump into this incredibly long league, and you can see why this deck is getting so much hype. So anyway, our key card is Up the Beanstalk. 2-mana enchantment, ETBs draws a card. When we cast a spell, mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. So the goal of our deck is to get all of our Up the Beanstalks on the battlefield as quickly as possible. Not only do we have Up the Beanstalk, we have Shardless Agent, which always cascades into Up the Beanstalk. We have Bloodbraid Elf, which cascades into Shardless Agent, which always cascades into Up a Beanstalk. So it's pretty realistic, because we have 12 Up a Beanstalks thanks to these cascade effects, that we can get 3 or 4 all of our Up a Beanstalks on the battlefield really early in the game. Once we get to that point, we just cast spells and our opponent can't do anything and we win the game. It gets so absurd. So the trick is, there's a bunch of really popular and powerful removal spells in Modern. Fury, Solitude, Leyline Binding, that technically cost 5 or 6 mana, so they trigger Up the Beanstalk, but actually cost 1 mana or literally free. And these evoke elementals like Fury or Solitude, they come with this built-in drawback. If you want to cast them for free, you have to go down a card. You gotta exile a card from your hand. Up a Beanstalk totally changes this equation. Once we get all of our Up the Beanstalks on the battlefield, which remember is not some pie in the sky pipe dream, like we do this really consistently thanks to the cascade spells. Think about how a Fury works. We exile a card to play Fury for free, we wipe out some of our opponent's stuff, and we actually end up drawing 4 cards because of Up a Beanstalk. So rather than costing us a card, these evoke elementals are kind of comboing off and generating card advantage. So we just keep churning through our deck, churning through our deck, churning through our deck, casting more Furies and Solitudes and Leyline Bindings. We kill all of our opponent's stuff, we draw through our entire deck, and then honestly we usually win by like attacking with Shardless Agents and Bloodbraid Elves. Like that's kind of the win con. So that is Beanstalk Cascade. We're gonna jump into a Modern league and see if this archetype is actually as busted as everyone thinks. So thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy this ridiculous league and ridiculous deck. Why does this deck even exist? Oh my god, this deck. And I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor Card Kingdom over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Today we're heading to Modern to play what is apparently the most broken deck in Modern ever. I don't know, since Modern Horizons. I've heard so many things about this deck. So I keep hearing from everyone, Up a Beanstalk Cascade is like literally broken. Broken, destroying the format, should have been banned, stronger than the One Ring, unbeatable. So I figured we gotta see what the hype's about. We gotta see what the hype's about and give this Up a Beanstalk deck a shot. So that's what we're doing today. This deck, you probably noticed we just jumped right into the games, no deck tech. That's because there's not much to say about it. This deck, the idea is you play all of the most broken cards, mostly the pitch elementals and Leyline Binding. You play a bunch of cascade spells to cascade into Leyline Binding. So then Fury, it's supposed to have this drawback, or like Solitude, it has this drawback where it's like, oh no, I have to actually like go down a card. I have to go down a card to play this. It's very sad. But suddenly there's no downside, because with Up a Beanstalk on the battlefield, which we will see if this resolves, but hopefully will happen right now. With Up a Beanstalk on a battlefield, all of our cards actually draw us cards. So now that we have Up a Beanstalk, Leyline Binding generates card advantage. Fury, we can discard a card to evoke it, but then we get a card back, so it cycles through our deck. Once we get 2 Up a Beanstalks, then it gets even more ridiculous, because everything we do is drawing us multiple cards, and we just drowned our opponent in card advantage. That's our goal. That's our hopes and dreams. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Brawl, Chief of Compliance. Okay, opponent's Storming. Interesting. Well, that has got to die. Yeah, let's Fury, pitch a Fire Ice, because that's fair. Get rid of the Brawl. I wonder if this is actually a bad matchup for us. Storm might actually be tough. Yeah, let's just play a Plains, pass the turn. We might just upkeep, tap a land. That seems fine. Actually, no, I don't think we can. We want to leave up the Leyline Binding. There is a world where they like play Brawl and start to combo, and we really need to kill the Brawl. Cycle Lawrence revealed. Grab another Trio. And do we even want to ice? Does it do anything? I mean, it does draw us a card. We don't have anything to pitch now anyway. All right, yeah, let's Let's ice a Spire Bluff, draw a card. More Lawrence, so many Evolving Wilds. Evolving Wilds, oh my god, all the Evolving Wilds. Well, let's play a Triome and pass the turn. So it's actually pretty awkward. We don't really want to have 3 Evolving Wilds in hand. Probably better known as Lawrence Revealed. But it is kind of just a tap land here. Opponent Flooded Strand. Are we dead? Apparently not yet. Well, we'll cycle a Lawrence Reveal. It's even sorcery speed. Ugh. A Steam Vents. Run out an Omnath. Hallowed Fountain. Untap, gain a bit of life. Pass the turn. I think we need like Teferi might be good. For all the hype about this deck, I imagine the answer to this deck is Fast Combo. I assume Fast Combo is the answer to these slow value pile decks. All right, here's the gifts. Are we dead? Maybe. Very possible that we're just dead here. The Leyline Binding does maybe help. It's been an awkward draw. Every Lawrence Revealed. The classic Evolving Wilds Flood. Opponent has a remand, so they can play Brawl, remand. I guess our opponent gets to keep the rituals. Wow, classic Storm. Coming back to punish the slow value Up the Beanstalk decks. Goblin Electromancer. There's a ritual, so we will Leyline Binding. Draw a card. Ritual. I mean, we could still very well... Wow, ritual. I mean, if they got the Past in Flames, we draw another land. Yeah, we like hard flooded this game. Electromancer, down. But I imagine we're dead. Like if they have Past in Flames, we're dead. And there's the Past in Flames. So this is actually just deterministically lethal. I guess we haven't seen Storm in a while, so we'll let our opponent do it for a minute for those of you that haven't seen it. But essentially, they get to recast all of their rituals and card draw. And the thing that makes it deterministic is Gifts Ungiven is guaranteed to find the finishers our opponent needs. So there's no possible way of our opponent actually fizzling for him. They even have the remand so they can get the Grape Shot and remand the Grape Shot. That's enough. We're not going to sit through more of it. So I will say... essentially just our straight up nightmare matchup. Like, look at our deck. We have literally no plan for this. I think that someone has realized that there's an Up a Beanstalk meta going on, and Storm is like perfectly positioned to just absolutely destroy us. And that's basically where we're at now. Like, what do we bring in? Commandeer to try to commandeer random rituals? Like, is that what we're reduced to? We don't have counters. We don't have interaction. We don't have stacks pieces. Like, there's no chance. We are like 0%. I'm pretty sure we're 0% to win against Storm. I mean, it's not literally 0, but we can like draw the cards in the world and it doesn't matter to our opponent. They just storm off and kill us. Like, we're not going to kill them on turn 4 or something, turn 5. Like, the deck is designed to generate overwhelming late game value. But I think maybe after all this talk, it's going to be banned better than the One Ring. I don't know, the One Ring actually gives you protection for a turn. That seems relevant against Storm. Up a Beanstalk just draws you more Furies that don't do anything. I don't think we can not keep hands like this. This is the kind of hand that you gotta keep. Like, we can kill the first Electromancer, maybe. We can definitely have the Solitudes, but does dealing with our opponent's creatures even matter? Does that do anything at all? I'm not actually sure that it does. Well, cycle, get a land, draw another land, play the Triome. I imagine Storm gets absolutely stomped by Scam, but I think it absolutely stomps decks like ours. There's the Baral. Solitude pitching Solitude thing, which is not great. We don't have Up a Beanstalk. Yeah, can we draw an Up a Beanstalk? We draw Leyline Binding. I mean, I guess we Solitude pitch Solitude. Yeah, Solitude pitch Solitude. This hurts when you don't have an Up a Beanstalk. All these cards that are so good once you have an Up a Beanstalk, a little bit worse when you don't have an Up a Beanstalk. I mean, this turn I think we're actually going to ice a land on our opponent's upkeep. Yeah, let's ice. We really need to find some action. Like, we're on a clock. We're on the Storm clock. Wow, they just remand it. Okay, that's fine. Sure. Opponent plays a Flooded Strand. Opponent passes. We draw. The punishment for this very well might be death. Very possible, but we are going to Bloodbraid Elf, find our Up a Beanstalk. Oh no. No. our already sketchy sideboard plan of only having endurance to fight this deck comes back to mega haunt us. That is so I mean, it is a 3-4. It is a 3-4. We'll give it that. It is a 3-4. So we're going to play land. Actually, let's crack this first. I want to make sure we have a white source for this leyline binding. Well, let's just grab a forest. Whatever. All right, Bloodbraid. If we hit the second endurance, I might be quitting Magic. All right, Bloodbraid. Shardless Agent. Okay, not an endurance at least. Shardless Agent. We know what you're finding. It's going to be an Up a Beanstalk 1,000,000% of the time. Into the Up a Beanstalk. Up a Beanstalk draws us a card. Another Bloodbraid. Shardless Agent resolves. Bloodbraid resolves. Remands the Bloodbraid. All right, just trying to slow things down a little bit. Well, we're going to go attacking. Hit ya. Unfortunately, I think this probably means we can't win next turn. They might have to crack the fetch, though. Opponent, all right, cracks the fetch. Well, he might be able to win this turn. We'll see what our opponent does. Without a Electromancer or Baral or a Gifts, it's going to be hard for our opponent to storm off. Desperate Ritual. Okay. I wish we had this endurance in hand. Okay. There's a One Ring. Pro everything. We will leyline binding. Draw a card. Get rid of the One Ring. So we don't get to kill our opponent this turn. We can in 2 turns if we remain alive in 2 turns, which against Storm is anyone's guess. Well, we will 1, 2, 3. I mean, I guess we just Shardless Agent for Up a Beanstalk. What would actually be relevant here? Endurance in hand. Well, I guess Shardless Agent does that as well. All right, let's Shardless Agent, but by tapping blue mana. Oh, actually, no. We only have 1 blue source. I do want to ice a land. All right, 1, 2. Let's just Up a Beanstalk then. Up a Beanstalk, draw a card. No reason to attack because of the One Ring. Oh, we do have a second blue source. Yeah, I guess we could have Charlotte. It doesn't really matter. All right, let's ice this land, attempt to. We're kind of on the tempo plan here. We're just trying to slow our opponent down, basically. Awkwardly, we cannot cast this Solitude. Steam Vents, untapped. Ritual, again. All right, well, this is brutal, opponent. Teferi Time Reveler. How relevant is Teferi? Well, we're definitely gonna play Teferi. Bounce Leyline Binding, get rid of a One Ring. We can Teferi bounce Endurance. We have this Solitude if we draw white cards. I think we're going to bounce the Leyline Binding, play a Misty Rainforest, and pass the turn. Do we want a Leyline Binding now? It does keep our opponent from drawing a card. Actually, let's thin our deck. Misty Rainforest, crack it. Island, Leyline Binding, draw 2. Oh god, those are low rolls. Oh, we don't even get to Solitude? Oh geez. All right. We might just be dead. 3 One Rings in a row have done a good job of keeping our opponent alive. That is for sure. I was hoping that we would at least hit a white. Wow, opponent scoops it up. Okay, I guess we can beat Storm. I don't know how we beat Storm. I guess just our opponent low rolling, really, when it comes down to it. Like, our opponent just couldn't get anything going. Do we need to Commandeer? Commandeer Past in Flames? Is that actually a real thing? Cascading Endurance is awkward, that's for sure. Fury doesn't do, you know what? I mean, it worked in Commander, right? Commandeer Strip Mine. It could work. It could work. I mean, now that we see our opponents playing the One Ring, it does go way up in value. Although maybe we keep a Fury and like go down a Omnath and then just cut 1 fetch for the Gemstone Caverns. Yeah, let's try it like that. It's Commandeer time. The Commandeer is good at stealing the One Ring. That's the main goal, is to steal the One Ring. I don't know if it's good enough against Storm, although maybe we got to play it just out of desperation because we have so few answers to a Storm deck. So maybe we just got to play it out of desperation. Now that we see the One Ring, it goes up in value. Well, I mean, we're going to try this. Sand is questionable. We don't have the ability to Solitude at the moment, which is not great. Misty Rainforest, go. I mean, we get to play a lot of not One Rings, Up the Beanstalks. Can play one naturally, cascade into one. Wow, Desperate Ritual, okay. Blood Moon, that's not good. Well, we will take a Forest. This is going to make our life much harder. Well, we will play a Flooded Strand. We will play an Up a Beanstalk. The Up a Beanstalk does help. Like, it's gonna be hard to get rid of this Blood Moon. Opponent takes Jagantha. But we do have the Solitude now. Opponent has decided to make this a strange game of Magic thanks to the Blood Moon. Well, we will pass. We have an answer to a creature with Solitude pitching Solitude. Bloodbraid Elf can cascade into something. I guess Bloodbraid could theoretically cascade into a Teferi to bounce a Blood Moon. Opponent. Well, we're probably gonna have to kill that. Opponent passes. Well, let's Solitude. Pitch an Omnath. Draw a card. Get rid of the Baral. Untap. Bloodbraid Elf. Well, Windswept Teeth. Bloodbraid Elf. Cascade. Into Teferi. Go to combat. Get in with the Bloodbraid Elf. Do we bounce the Blood Moon? I want a white card in hand for this Solitude. Yeah, let's bounce it. The man is free. The man is free. Are we dead? Against Storm. Opponent. Polluted Delta. Cracks it. Baral returns. Yeah, not finding a white card's bad news. Desperate Ritual. And Blood Moon. Grape Shot. Okay, this is actually super not scary. I was very scared, but unnecessarily. Okay, opponent only has Jagantha. Actually, this is going super easily. I take it back. Maybe Storm is not as bad of a matchup as I thought. We will 1, 2, 3, 4. Bloodbraid Elf. Do a little cascading. Cascade into a Teferi. Fury. Pitch Fire Ice. Draw a card. Get rid of the Baral. And then we will tick up Teferi. We're gonna wait to bounce till next turn. Next turn we can crack all these fetch lands and actually fix our mana. All right, your go, opponent. Storm with 1 card in hand is not nearly as scary. Gifts is still a good draw for our opponent. If they can draw gifts, things could still get scary. We wouldn't mind finding an Endurance. The One Ring. Oh, I wish we had the Commandeer. All right, opponent 1 rings. Yup. Draws with the One Ring. I mean, the One Ring is a good one for our opponent. That is scary. Well, let's see what we can find. We untap. Lorn's Revealed. Well, we will Teferi. Bounce the Blood Moon. Not great, not great, not great. Where are all of our answers? Well, okay. Misty Rainforest. Crack it. Get an Island. Flooded Strand. Crack it. Get a Plains. Do we actually just hardcast Lorn's Revealed? That might be where we're at in life. This One Ring is a problem. What is the other option? Like Shardless Agent, Up a Beanstalk, Temple Garden, untapped. I don't like being so shields down, but I think this is what we have to do, as awkward as this is. Lorn's Revealed. Draw a card. Draw 3 cards. Windswept Teeth, and yeah, pass the turn. The bad news here is our opponent's going to get to untap with a One Ring and draw a bunch more cards. We can Solitude. We cannot Leyline Binding. Are we dead? Like, Storm with 1 card in hand, not shook. Storm with 6 cards in hand, we could be dead right now. No question, no doubt. That is a thing that could very easily happen. Opponent preordains. All right, odds of dying may be decreasing. That our opponent has spent 2 mana cantripping. They've also already spent a few rituals doing random things. All right, there's a ritual. And empty the Warrens. I think we can deal with a bunch of goblins. I don't think we die to goblins. That's fine. So opponent makes 8 1/1s. We crack the Windswept Teeth. We get this Triumph to turn on the Leyline Binding. I mean, we should get to have a pretty good turn, right? In theory, we should have a pretty good turn. We do want to somehow deal with this One Ring. We must think. So we're taking up Teferi, of course. We play a Up a Beanstalk. Draw a card. The question is, do we Shardless Agent for another Up a Beanstalk? It would leave us with 2 mana. We do need to deal with the One Ring. I guess it does put a body on the battlefield, and it could help us find a Commandeer. Well, let's Shardless Agent. Cascade into a Beanstalk, draw a card. Well, opponent saw a Commandeer, so they know that's in our deck. Leyline Binding, draw 3 cards. Endurance isn't bad. That is pretty good. Leyline Binding, get rid of the One Ring. Hallowed Fountain untapped, pass the turn. We discard, Lorn Revealed in a land. All right! They might just have another One Ring. Our opponent might just be thinking, do we just run out another One Ring? This Endurance should do some work here. This Endurance might be the card that saves us, honestly. We know opponent has a Jagantha in hand, 2 unknown cards. We can't afford to get Grape Shot. Our opponent can hit us for a bunch of these goblins. So it's actually very close. It was actually very, very close. And I don't know if we can win next turn. We just don't have enough. We don't have enough bodies to actually kill our opponent next turn. We can draw our deck. So I think we go Grape Shot Graveyard. Opponent plays Ottawa. Blood Moons. All right, well, we're going to tap a white mana. Big attack. Well, okay, we will Solitude, exile a Teferi, draw some cards, get rid of a Goblin. Solitude, exile a Leyline Binding, draw 3 cards, get rid of a Goblin. Then we will block and block, take 4, down to 6. We draw a Teferi. Well, let's Teferi, bounce the Blood Moon, draw a card. Another Teferi. Take up Teferi. Play a Gemstone Caverns. Where's all of our Commandeers in the very bottom of our deck? And we can't even Solitude. That's so awkward. We'll get in for 3. Pass the turn. Discard a land and a Blood Braid. Actually, land and Lorne Revealed. All right, there we go. Blood Moon. Well, 1. Fire. Kill a couple goblins. We'll let it go. We do only have 4 minutes on the clock. We have to keep that in mind as well. Opponent going to pass, plays a land. This is another 1 ring. So opponent 1 rings, they get protection. We island cycle. Grab a Triome. All of our Commandeers are in the bottom of our deck. Could not find him. All right, so opponent gets a 1 ring. They draw with a 1 ring. We really want to find a Commandeer. Really, really, really. Bloodbraid Elf. Teferi. Bounce. Leyline Binding. Leyline Binding. Actually, only need 2. All right, Leyline Binding. Oh, we drew another Leyline Binding. All right, so in that case, Leyline Binding, get rid of the Blood Moon. Yeah, opponent gets to draw, sure. We are going to Endurance, pitching Shardless Agent to shuffle our graveyard back in. And then we will Leyline Binding. 1, 2, 3. Get rid of the 1 ring. Play a Triome tapped. Attack. All right, opponent takes it. This is going to be an interesting turn. 1, 2, 3 lands discarded. All right, here goes nothing. Can you kill us? We found a Commandeer. We did find a Commandeer, so we can stop the 1 ring on the way back down, or at least attempt to. We can Leyline Binding to draw cards. Past in Flames. Commandeer, the Past in Flames. Exiling 2 blue cards. Draw some cards. There's the Endurance. That's really big. All right, so we draw some cards. So this is our Past in Flames, right? Are we going to time out? You gain control of target non-creature spell. Am I misunderstanding this? All right, to be safe, let's Endurance pitch Up a Beanstalk. Now I'm scared that I'm doing it wrong. That's my current problem. I'm afraid that I'm punting. This should work, right? This should work the way we want it to. This is our Past in Flames. An opponent scoops it up. Well, that was the longest, grindiest game, but you got to see the absurd late game power. And I imagine, I still stand by what I said in game 1. This has got to be one of the toughest matchups for our deck. This has to be one of the toughest matchups. So the fact that we were able to just like crush Storm without having ever played this deck before in one of our bad matchups, I think that's a testament to the absurdity of this archetype. Like, beating your good matchups is one thing. Having someone who's never played the deck before crush the worst matchup, that's a whole nother story. And we commandeered him, so that was sweet. Round 2 is cascading into beans. Really is broken, as everyone says. That's what we're trying to find out. And this hand looks bad. But remember, Lorne Revealed actually lands. Even though it doesn't look like we have many lands, we actually kind of have a ton of lands, so we should be fine. And we have a Beanstalk, and we got a Leyline Binding. And there's another land. Well, let's just Windswept Heath. We'll see what our opponent does. We might, The question's gonna be, do we try to all right, opponent gets a Triome. So they might also be playing, they're definitely playing some sort of 5-color pile. They could also be playing beans. Well, let's crack the Windswept Heath. Triome. Untap. Lorne Reveal. I think we just double Triome here. Seems to make the most sense. Opponent gets a Triome. Opponent might be playing the same exact deck as us. We will also take a Triome. We will play the Triome. The Great Bean War of 2023. Welcome to Modern, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy, I don't know how this ends. Opponent I think the tech is we bring in Commandeer to try to commandeer our opponent's beans. No beans for you. Opponent gets to draw a card. I mean, we get to have a good turn though, right? Because we get to play Misty Rainforest. We get to crack Misty Rainforest. Yeah, I don't think our life total is super relevant. Untap land. We get to play Up the Beanstalk just naturally from our hand. Draw a card. But it gets better. We also get to Landline Binding our opponent's Beanstalk. Draw a card. Who's winning the Bean War now, opponent? Who's winning the Bean War now? I mean, I imagine that our opponent can Leyline Binding our Leyline Binding to get back their Up a Beanstalk, to draw cards with their Up a Beanstalk, and then hopefully we find a Leyline Binding to Leyline Binding their Leyline Binding on our Leyline Binding to get back our Up a Beanstalk. And the cycle repeats itself. Yeah, or they just have to fairy. That also works. Opponent's just going to tick up, sure. So opponent's going to try to set up for a good turn next turn, I guess. We draw a Fire Ice. Not as great with Teferi out. That is an issue. How do we want to do this is the question. So I think we want... Oh, no, we can't Cascade with Teferi out. That's actually going to beat us, isn't it? So we can't Cascade into Beans. We can't kill Teferi currently. We could just like run out Omnath. We can Solitude the Shardless Agent to draw a card to try to find a Leyline Binding for Teferi? Yeah, our opponent having Teferi and us not seems unfair, come to think of it. This does not feel fair. Not that anything fair is happening in this game, really, honestly. What? Hearthstone? Hello, Hearthstone. We're playing Magic now. Hallowed Fountain untapped. I think we just white, green, red, blue. Run out of Omnath, draw a card. Do we want to Solitude the Shardless Agent to draw a card? Probably not. This Teferi is actually like ruining our day. So what we're hoping, I guess, this isn't good, but what we're hoping is our opponent's going to be incentivized to Teferi the Leyline Binding to get back their Up a Beanstalk. That would get, or maybe they just have more Up a Beanstalks. That would get Teferi low enough that we could, okay, they're going to pick up the Shardless Agent, play a land, cascade into another Up a Beanstalk. I mean, this is still kind of okay, because this means we get to kill the Teferi, which is the most important thing. Opponent, Up a Beanstalk part 2. I mean, in some ways, this is very bad because our opponent has 2 Up a Beanstalks and we have none, or we have 1. So we're behind on the beans. Solitude to draw a card and get rid of the Omnath. Yeah, I don't know how this ends. I do know that our opponent having Teferi and us not having Teferi is not ideal. That much is clear. We can remedy that situation a little bit. So we get to Steam Vents untapped, fire the Teferi. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! Okay. So our opponent is playing Force of Negation. That is not in our deck. We draw planes. Well, we will Solitude, pitch an Omnath, draw 2, get rid of the Shardless Agent, and then we pass and our opponent untaps with Teferi and 2 Up a Beanstalks? What's the other option? We keep Solituding? Yes, Teferi is so bad for us. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just have to pass. Oh, this isn't good though. Well, apparently beans can beat beans. Opponent's going to take up Teferi. Force of Negation. Should we be playing Force of Negation? I mean, we can kill that next turn if we're still alive. Can't kill it now because of Teferi. All right, not a fetch land at least. Opponent land drop. Omnath. Does Omnath things, gains some life. Gonna pass. Do we want to cycle a Lorenz revealed? Yeah, it's only getting a land. We have a land. Yeah, let's wait. We draw. A Teferi. Ooh. The question is, do we Solitude, exile Solitude, or Solitude, exile Teferi? Teferi can come down, bounce a Leyline Binding. Oh, it's so good. I really want to resolve the Teferi. All right, let's do it this way. Let's play the plains, play Teferi. Oh, resolves. Okay, that is huge. Huge, 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 huge. Teferi, bounce Leyline Binding. Opponent gets to draw a card. Leyline Binding, draw 2. Get rid of the Teferi. Solitude, pitch the Teferi to get rid of the Omnath, draw 2. So get rid of that. And now do we just pass? Is that our best plan? Pass and leave up the binding? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's pass. I mean, our opponent untapping with 3 Beanstalks is scary. All right, well, that's less than ideal. We do get a land out of the deal, but this also means that we can't. Teferi is a messed up card. Teferi is a messed up card. Modern's a messed up format. Cycles, Lauren's revealed. Opponent is currently further up the beanstalk than we are. They have 3, we only have 2. Does this game end with someone milling out? Is that how this works? I feel like it probably ends with someone milling out. Okay, so Fury to kill the Teferi. And opponent ticks up Teferi. Leyline Binding, draw 2, get rid of the Teferi. So Teferi down. Is milling out the most important thing here? Is that what matters in this matchup? We will play a Misty Rainforest, crack a Misty Rainforest, get our last fetchable land, make a mana, draw a Solitude, Shardless Agent, into an Up a Beanstalk, draw a card. We're gonna mill out. That's how this ends. I don't think we want more beans because we're gonna mill out. All right, we will pass. Discard a fetch. Opponent untaps. So we need to stop drawing cards. How do we stop drawing cards? I don't think our opponent's gonna kill us, and I don't know if we're gonna kill them, but I do think we're gonna run out of cards. After sideboarding, it's gonna get even wonkier because then we are going to have endurances to shuffle our graveyard back in. Well, okay, Solitude, get rid of the Omnath. So what is our strategy for this wild mirror? I mean, I guess this actually isn't a mirror. Our opponent's not playing Cascade, are they? Well, they're playing different Cascade. They're not playing Bloodbraid Elves. About it. Even more Teferis. Okay. Bounces Leyline Binding to get back to Fairy. Legend rolls. Bounces Nissa. Plays a Windswept Heath. Yeah, Beanstalk is not a May ability. Opponent passes. Well, I don't think we have anything to land cycle into. These Lorn's revealed. Looking worse and worse. Opponent discards to hand size and Ardent Plea. Another Lorn's revealed. Well, so play Leyline Binding to get rid of Teferi. Draw 3 cards, which is now a drawback rather than an upside. Opponent has more Force of Negations, really wants to keep that Teferi. Well, we will. 1, 2. Fire, Fury into Fairy. 1, 2. Fire, Fury. Go to combat. Hit you with the Shardless Agent. I mean, eventually our opponent's going to have to cast spells, right? That is a thing that is going to happen. Play a Nissa. Play a Windswept Heath, make a mana. I mean, I'm pretty sure we have 0 fetchable lands left. Let's Island Cycle. Okay, we have a Sacred Foundry. Well, Windswept Heath, crack it. Get the Sacred Foundry. Trigger Nissa, add a mana. This game, my god. All right, there's a Bloodbraid finally. Well, we will pass the turn. Maybe this deck wants Reliquary Tower. Have we entered the world where Modern is essentially Commander and every deck just plays Reliquary Tower because, I'm just gonna accidentally draw so many cards I'm discarding to hand size every turn? That might be where we're at. That might be the current world of Modern. Opponent, Shardless Agent, into a Up a Beans, into nothing. Oh, they're gonna cast. So we're at a very weird stage in this game. The thing that I think matters most here is cards in deck. Really? They're going to cast it and draw that many cards? This seems very risky to me. Seems very risky. So opponent's got 12 cards in hand. Furies. Wow, we've actually caught up on cards, technically, for the moment. And this is being evoked, right? They're evoking a Fury to kill one of our creatures? Did they have a way to shuffle their library back in? Are they playing main deck Endurance? All right, so they kill a thing. Passes. We're going to get locked out of playing spells. Both players are almost locked out of playing spells. At this point, the biggest thing we have in our favor is we have less Up a Beanstalks. Bloodbraid Elf. Yeah, I think we actually have to play that. Opponent, Force of Negation Part 3. Well, we will play a Forest. We will play Shardless Agent. And Shardless Agent. I mean, maybe we can work this in a way that our opponent mills out first and then do some attacking. Those Force of Negations for our opponents have been pretty huge. So we can cast maybe 2 more spells that are big enough that they trigger Up a Beanstalk. Omnath's pretty big for our opponent. That's a powerful card that is not triggering Up a Beanstalk. And landing in some life. Sure. Passes. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fury. Unfortunately, draw 3 cards. Opponent cracks a Windswept Heath. tapped to gain some life. Get rid of the Omnath. Opponent going to bounce the Omnath. Okay. Well, 1, 2. We will cast a Teferi. That resolves. Teferi. I think we just bounce an Up a Beanstalk, actually. Big attack. Do we leave one more back? Teferi's gonna die anyway. Let's get in there. Get in with everything. You have more beans than we do now. I think we're out of Teferis, though. 1 Teferi. My god, I have no idea what's going on. 2 Teferi. Oh, we have 3 Teferi. Yeah, okay. So this is our last Teferi. Opponent drops to 17. We'll play a Windswept Heath that doesn't do anything past the turn. I mean, maybe we can force our opponent to play things into their Up a Beanstalk. That's what we need. Opponent, Omnath returns, draws a card. I mean, opponent has a lot of stuff they don't want to cast anymore. Opponent going to start picking up their Up a Beanstalks. Gains a bit of life. Scoops it up! Did we just have them locked? Did our opponent just not have the ability to cast answers without milling themselves out? What is going on in Modern? What is going on in Modern? Well, we're bringing these Commandeers. They're probably horrible, but we're bringing Endurance so we don't mill out. We can bring in Gemstone Caverns to cheat a bit. Also, Elishnorn seems absurd if our opponent's doing something similar. Maybe Charge Maw? Wait, what about Inevitable Betrayal? Is that worth it? Cascade into this, steal your Cascader? Yeah, probably not. I guess Force of Vigor answers things. Subtlety also answers things. It's a lot of cards we could theoretically bring in. If we're bringing in Commandeer, we need blue cards, like for days. So Teferi seems absurd. We can probably cut this Nissa. Nissa seems like random value, not really essential. Do we even really need the Charge Maw? Is this too ambitious? Like, is everyone's gonna hit all their land drops? Maybe we don't actually Charge Maw. What about Fire Ice? Maybe we cut the Fire Ices. Like, they are okay at sniping Teferi, but that's about all they really do is like, they're also a blue card for Commandeer. Is Commandeer even worth this? I have no idea what's going on in Modern anymore. What a world we live in. Do we even want Subtlety? So Subtlety is going to try to get our opponent's Evoke Elementals. Oh, what a world, what a world. Maybe we go like 1 Solitude. I mean, the big one I think is Test of Endurance is a really big one. Did I say Test of Endurance? Why did I say Test of Endurance? Just Endurance. Test of Endurance is a very old against the odds card. Maybe something like, that's probably too greedy. All right, let's go 2 Commandeers. Let's start like that. The weirdest pile of Magic cards of all time, apparently breaking the format. I mean, the Lawrence revealed our Evolving Wilds are going to pull through here. Endurance is sweet. Well, okay, Sacred Foundry. And we do got Das Beans in Das Hand. Opponent cracks a Flooded Strand. Sacred Foundry. Are they just getting the same lands as us? That's cheating. Make your own decisions, opponent. You can't just take our lands. Flooded Strand for our opponent. Well, let's Lauren revealed. Island Cycling. Grab a Breeding Pool. Untap. Breeding Pool. You know what? I think we just plane up the Beanstalk. Ooh, are you going to Besage it? If you get a Breeding Pool opponent, I'm telling you. Oh, they just get a Triumph, sure. And there's a Leyline Binding. So they're going to get rid of the Up a Beanstalk. We draw a card. We pass the turn. I mean, that's fine. We also need to be aware of the clock. We are behind on clock currently. And this deck does not necessarily win quick. Ooh, they play their Besage. They must have Teferi. All right, Ardent Plea for Up the Beanstalk. Apparently some people get mad about saying Up a Beanstalk. You gotta be specific. Subtlety. We do need a blue card to pitch, which I guess is Lauren revealed. The question is, do we Teferi? Well, I mean, it probably makes most sense. Let's Windswept Heath, crack Windswept Heath. Forest. Shardless Agent into Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. Pass the turn. All right, so if we need to, we can Subtlety something, which would primarily be Teferi. Yeah. Target the Teferi. About it. Windswept Heath. Passes. We kind of do need a land now, though. Teferi. Get in with the Shardless Agent. Hit ya. Play a Teferi. So we know our opponent has a Teferi coming. What do we want to do with this Teferi, though? I think we just have to tick up. And pass. I'm like somewhat tempted to Endurance to try to shuffle away the Teferi, but I don't really want to use Endurance for no value. Opponent, Hallowed Fountain, untapped. Ottawa. Opponent's pulling ahead on lands, which isn't great. That is a problematic card. Okay, well, this might just be game, because we do not have an Elish Norn, and we don't have a way to kill an Elish Norn with our opponent having an Elish Norn. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we have to bounce Elish Norn, draw a card. It's a Windswept Teeth. Is there anything we can do? Up a Beanstalk, draw a card, play a land. Guess we get in for 2 and that's it. Yeah, Elish Norn seems like the mirror breaker. I do not know how we overcome an Elish Norn. Opponent untaps. I imagine they're just casting the Elish Norn again. Well, that's unfortunate. I assume our opponent's playing like a single Elish Norn in their sideboard like we are, and they just found theirs and we did not. All right, Elish Norn's back again. Well, we will tick up. We'll get a trio. Play an island. Tick up to Fairy. Bloodbraid Elf? Into, I guess, Endurance? Not ideal, but okay. Pass the turn. Opponent. Oh, we're gonna get so wrecked by this Elish Norn. Evoke Elementals with Elish Norn, so ridiculous. Opponent plays a Teferi. Yeah. Bounces our Endurance to draw a card. Attacks Teferi, gets exalted. I mean, we are gonna chump. We will block. We need the Teferi to bounce the Elish Norn. Misty Rainforest. I mean, opponent's down to 10, down to 8. Wow, Force of Vigor. So our opponent's drawing the sideboard cards, that's for sure. We are not. Well, Teferi bounce Elish Norn. Draw a card. Bloodbraid Elf. Well, we were so close to just winning here, but we can't quite. Bloodbraid Elf. Spin into nothing. Opponent, Subtlety, pitches it. Yup. Bloodbraid to the top. We will kill the Teferi and pass the turn. So I think what we need to do is like flash in a bunch of stuff on our opponent's end step. I think that's our game plan. There's Elish Norn. Opponent draws a card. Opponent passing. Well, okay. Solitude. Maybe we wait. Wait, Up a Beanstalk's not going to trigger anyway, right? Oh, when you cast. All right, let's untap. 1, 2, 3. Teferi. See if they have the Force negation. No. Okay, so Teferi. Bounce the Elish Norn. Windswept Teeth. Hit ya. Now we will play a Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. And pass the turn. Opponent's at 5. I mean, if they just spend their turns recasting Elish Norn, we might be able to beat them. I guess the problem with Elish Norn is it is 5 mana. It does like hard lock our deck, but we've kind of been able to tempo our way through it. Going to give up on the Elish Norn plan. Kills our stuff. Passing. Well, crack the Windswept Teeth. Get the trio. 4 minutes on the clock, so we really do need to win this game. Leyline Binding. Well, play the land. Leyline Binding. Draw a card. Get rid of Up a Beanstalk. Draw a card. Get rid of your Fury. And pass the turn. Can we get in 5 points of damage before we run out of time? Solitude. Okay, to get rid of our Fury. I mean, this is going to be about clock. This is actually coming down to a clock battle. Well, 1, 2, 3. Teferi. Bounce Leyline Binding. Get an Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. Bloodbraid Elf. Into a Shardless Agent. Cascade. Into nothing. Well, now we Fury. Pitch a Fury. Draw 2. Get rid of the Solitude. And play the land, go to combat, hit ya, down to 2. Oh my god, this game. Can we get in 2 points of damage? Opponent untaps. There's the Elish Norn. This might cost our opponent the game, though. It's really going to depend on what Evoke Elementals they have in hand. If they don't deal with this Teferi, okay, they deal with the Teferi. Are we going to time out? Does this end with this timing out and just not playing fast enough on for a video? Well, I guess we know that for the next round. We're going to have to play faster, that's for sure. Opponent, passing. Solitude, pitch a Solitude. Draw 2 cards. They gets to stick around because of Elish Norn. We will Endurance, pitch a Endurance. It's going to be close. 1, 2, 3. Play Teferi. Do you have the Solitude? Okay, they're going to tap down the Solitude to draw a card. You need more than that. And opponent scoops it up. We found a way. Through our opponent having the Elishnorn, they were shutting down our ETBs, and we turned our opponent's Elishnorn to our advantage. We managed to use it like a torpor orb to keep our threats on the battlefield and just barely close out the game. Wow, this is gonna be like a 5-hour video, but we got there. Boy, this deck is busted. Boy, this deck is busted. Is this a 1 land, 1 keep? No, this deck draws so many cards. The one thing we cannot afford is to be mana screwed. All right, we'll keep this. This is fine. I guess we put a Fire Ice to the bottom. Go Evolving Wilds. I mean, it does get Triumph, so it's a little silly to call it Evolving Wilds, but seriously, it is a tap land, pretty much, that costs some mana. Ink Moth, oh god, are we dying? Hardened Scales? I would guess Hardened Scales. Looks like Hardened Scales. Pretty good. Ideally, if we do our beanie stuff, we should be able to just go over the top of whatever our opponent's doing. We'll see if we can actually do our beanie stuff. So grab a Trio. There's beans, but we can't play them yet because we got the tap land. Okay. Pass the turn, that's fine. So we can up a Beanstalk for something. I mean, the Bloodbraid gets us more beans too. Teferi can bounce something, which might be this Ozolith eventually. All right, there's a Patchy. I don't know what we do here. We definitely need green mana. We're gonna take a Breeding Pool. And there's a Welding Jar. All right. Can we get the engine running before we die? That's the question. Opponent passes. Well, never gonna complain about Solitude. We're going to play Breeding Pool, untapped. Up the Beanstalk. We draw land, we pass the turn. So we can Solitude, but we can't Solitude Patchy because of the ward. If we can have like 2 turns of getting things set up, we're gonna go off Hangaback Waka. Opponent. We draw Windswept Teeth. Well, Windswept Teeth, crack Windswept Teeth. Are we risking death? I mean, we do have the Solitude. All right, we're just gonna find some more beans. Bloodbraid Elf. I mean, I guess we could hit Teferi, which would be okay. We hit Teferi. Would have rather hit beans, but I guess Teferi's fine. Bounce. Urza Saga. Oh god, that's a Fury. Okay. Pass the turn. We did really want more beans there, but Teferi does slow our opponent down. With 2 beans, we could kind of combo off. With 1 bean, we can't really combo off. Hey, Urza Saga, that's a good card. 2 turns in a row. How lucky. How lucky, opponent. How do you keep drawing that Urza Saga? I mean, we can double pitch. We just would rather have another bean on the battlefield first if we had the choice. Opponent. Walking Ballista. All right, that is a scary magic card, especially with the Ozolith out. Oh, they're just gonna snipe Teferi? Okay, sure. Opponent goes to combat. Opponent gets it. Block here. Opponent passes. Well, let's see what we draw. Solitude. All right, let's think about this. So we can, I wish we had 1 more bean. 1 more bean. So we can Solitude, pitch Solitude. Actually, maybe Fury's better. Fury, pitch Fire, kill this. And then we Solitude this. And then we can Teferi this or this. Yeah, all right, let's Fury. But they have Welding Jar. I forgot about that. Oh, playing Windswept Teeth. It's actually very tricky. Get a Plains. So we can play Teferi, bounce this. Let's start there. Let's play Teferi. Bounce the Urza Saga. Draw a card. So we will pass the turn. I'm gonna tick up the Hangerback Walker. Ravager would be very frightening here. Opponent. Urza Saga 3 turns in a row. They must be cheating. There's no way you draw the same card 3 turns in a row. Walking Ballista. Okay. Gonna kill the Teferi. Attacks our face. Do we just have to Solitude this? The problem is then they get counters on this. Next turn we can Bloodbraid and maybe get another bean. Not getting the second bean was a bummer. I think we actually just take it. Opponent passes. We draw. What? Omnath. Well, take up Teferi. Bloodbraid Elf. Please beans. Okay, there's an Up a Beanstalk. That's what we needed. So we hit the Up a Beanstalk. We draw a card. It's a Bloodbraid. Solitude. Omnath. Hopefully we just kind of combo off from here. So we draw 2 cards. Get rid of the Hangerback Walker. Opponent going to tick it up. So Hangerback Walker down. Counters on the Ozolith. Windswept Teeth. Do we crack Windswept Teeth? Let's Fury. Pitch a Bloodbraid Elf. Come on. Good draws. Okay, Solitude. White card. How about a white card? So we will hit Walking Ballista for 4. Opponent going to sack the Wilding Jar. Sure. I have bad news, opponent. We can do this all day. Fury, pitch Fire Ice, draw 2 cards. When each one of our elementals is drawing cards, it is ungodly. Okay, yep. That will hit this Walking Ballista that was being a problem. Opponent gonna sack to ping. Sure. So now I think we actually just pass. We pass the turn. In our ideal world, we Solitude this Patchy, although, I don't know. This might actually be get a Triome, get rid of the Ozolith, Walking Ballista. Okay, well, crack this. Now it's definitely get a Triome, get rid of the Ozolith. We don't really have a choice. Leyline Binding, draw a couple cards. We have to get rid of the Ozolith or we die. Get rid of the Ozolith. Yep, opponent grows Patchy. Ballista, though, only a 1/1. I mean, we are chumping, the fastest chump we've ever chumped. I mean, I think we might be stabilizing. Opponent could use another white card. Would not mind another white card. If we could pitch these Furies to or pitch these Solitudes, pitch things that are not Solitudes to the Solitudes, that would make this turn much more explosive. This deck does feel absurd, though. Opponent finds a pathway, okay. Passes. All right, what do we find? Another land. Well, take up to Fairy. Fury, Hardcast. Get rid of the Walking Ballista. Oh, there's a Leyline Binding. That's not bad. So Fury, get rid of the Walking Ballista. Opponent can ping. This is also, okay, they're going to ping the Teferi. This is also nice because it gives us a body on the battlefield that we can theoretically use to exile to Solitude to gain life, which is actually a thing that matters to us at the moment. All right, pass the turn. So they get to finish their Urza's Saga. I don't think they can get anything from Urza's Saga that kills us, though. Opponent going to float for a mana, so no constructing. They might try to get Shadow Sphere for trample. Oh, they just get an Ozolith. Okay. I mean, we can always Leyline Binding that. There's the Ravager. This doesn't kill us, though, right? So, all right, sure. Opponent gets a Ravager. Let's wait till their end step, or until they do more. Hangerback, Walker. All right, so now we need to deal with the Ravager. Leyline Binding. Draw 2 cards. Get rid of the Ravager. Opponent's gonna sack it. I mean, this is fine, because we can just chump block the Patchy. I think all these roads lead to us winning the game. We'll see. We'll see if it actually works out. The biggest thing I'm worried of at the moment is actually our opponent just drawing enough Walking Ballistas to burn us out. Opponent, counter on the Hangerback Walker, sure. Opponent gonna go to combat. So we chump with the Fury. Stay at 4, which is actually kind of a virtual 3. All right, let's Windswept Heath. Let's see what lands we have left. I think there's a basic island, right? That's our last basic. Yeah, we have 1 basic island. Grab I don't even know if it really matters at this point. Let's go Sacred Foundry. So grab the Sacred Foundry. Can we find 1 more bean? Do we even need 1 more bean at this point? We might not. Could use another white card. That would be good. Oh, that's another bean. Okay, do we even play it? We got 23 cards? All right, let's do it. Up the Beanstalk, draw a card. I think we're just gonna go for it. Misty Rainforest, take up to Fairy, Leyline Binding, draw 3. We do have to be aware of milling out. That's a concern. Hangerback Walker. Opponent gets some Ozolith counters. We will Solitude, draw 3. Get rid of the Patchy, pay the ward. Opponent gains a bunch of life. Get a bunch of Ozolith counters. So now we crack Misty Rainforest, get our island. How do we win in time? It's gonna be this Omnath, right? Oh, we gotta get rid of Ozolith. Play the Teferi. Yeah, the Ozolith will die if we don't get rid of the Ozolith. So play the Teferi, keep the new Teferi. Bounce the Ozolith, draw a card. That's what we got. Discard. All right. Land Walking Ballista gets us. That would get us. Our opponent couldn't have both in hand because they only had 1 card. So they didn't have it, but that is a thing they could draw. Otherwise, we need to find some like Bloodbraid Elves and try to put some pressure on, because we're getting to the point where there's a concern that we could just run out of cards. Wow. Ink Moth? Okay. Opponent hits us with the Ink Moth. 1 Infect. Thankfully, we'd rather have it be Infect here, honestly. Opponent, Stomping Grounds. Another Patchy. Well, we could play an Omnath, which is huge. So run out Omnath, draw a card. We're not going to play another Up a Beanstalk. Temple Garden, tapped. Gain 2. Pass the turn. Can we kill our opponent before we mill out? That is the new challenge. 12 cards in the deck. 3 Up a Beanstalks. I think we have a Teferi left. We have 1 Bloodbraid. All right, opponent, gonna replay the Ozolith. Let's do this now. 1, 2, fire. You and you. I mean, this was close. Our opponent got us, they got us low. As long as we can assemble lethal before we mill out, like we have stabilized. Our opponent's they're not gonna kill us. Do we kill ourselves by running out of cards? That is an actual concern. Hanger back. Well, we got a Solitude for that. It does mean we draw 3 cards, which is bad. We are definitely not playing this Up a Beanstalk. That'll kill us for sure. All right, what do we draw? What do we draw? Lorne revealed. Well, okay, so Misty Rainforest. Gain some life. Crack Misty Rain. Do we even crack this? Do we need the mana? Not really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This makes me uncomfortable, but Solitude. Draw 3. Shardless Agent is good. That's a body we can put on the battlefield that can attack our opponent. All right, get rid of the hanger bag. Opponent gets a counter. Hit you with the Omnath. All the way down to 26. Shardless Agent? To get a 2/2 on the battlefield, we gotta speed up this clock. 8 cards is not a lot. That is not a big number. And we're running out. This deck is so slow. We're always on the edge of running out. Like, it feels like we can't lose. We're just crushing everyone. But we are constantly on the edge of running out of time and constantly on the edge of milling out. I might not be smart enough to play the... Actually, I would probably just throw some endurances in the main deck for easy mode. We need an endurance for Moto Clock, though. We need, like, shuffle your clock back in. Shuffle your clock back up to 20 minutes. I never thought I'd run into a modern deck where I felt like I drew too many cards, but here we are. Here we are every game. It's not like, oh, we did it once. Like, we assembled this ridiculous combo. It's like every game we draw our entire deck, and then we get to like 10 cards, and we're like, oh my god, can we win before we mill out? Can we draw enough Shardless Agents to actually assemble lethal before we mill out? Opponent, firing up Think Moss. I would like to play a Fury, but I don't know if we can afford to play a Fury. Oh, they put it on the one that's summoning sick. Ouch. Yeah, they might want him for defense anyway. Yeah, I don't know if we can afford to play a Fury. Flooded Strand. Gain some life. Go to combat. Swing. If they fire up the Ink Moth, I think we do fire it. About it. Wait, firing up the other one? Okay, they fire up the other Ink Moth. I think we also fire it and hit you for 1. I guess our opponent drawing Walking Ballista would still be annoying because they're going to have a bunch of counters on the Ozolith. So opponent, actually, I guess it's not a bunch. It's just 1. So maybe it's actually not that bad. Opponent takes the big beats. Hit you to 16. Shardless Agent, our best attacker. Cascades into nothing. I don't even know if we have fetchable lands. Even if we do, I don't know if we want to fetch them because that's 1 less card in our deck. So we're going to pass. Urza Saga. I mean, that is a good card. I kind of want to land cycle this Lorne Reveal and fail to find just to see what's in our deck. Yes, give us a counter, opponent. All right, let's do that. I just want to see. We're not going to take the land. We have 1 land, a Bloodbraid, a Teferi. Not much. We do have a Hallowed Fountain, though, that's fetchable. All right, untap. Teferi's probably our best draw. Leyline Binding. I mean, Leyline Binding's also not bad. Hit ya. Down to 5, Shardless Agent, cascaded to nothingness. I mean, I think we're getting there. We're back up to, we were almost dead, and now the game has completely switched. Now we're up to 20, our opponent's down to 5, and this deck seems so unbeatable. We're gonna bring in the Force of Vigor, Gemstone Cavern, since we're gonna be on the draw. Sharma, Inevitable Betrayal, Subtlety, Commandeer. That might really be it. It might be pretty light changes. I mean, Fury and Solitude, those are the big whammies. Force of Vigor is good. Ally Sherman's probably too slow. Charma could be interesting. It gets rid of Ink Moth. It gets rid of Urza Saga in the late game, and it's a 4/4 flyer, which it's a clock. That is a clock. I mean, a clock by Ardex. Ardex closeout speed. It is double Shardless Agent. It's 2 Shardless Agents in 1, and it flies. Basically Carnage Tyrant. Basically an ether leg, never beating it. I don't know, this deck seems busted, but it's stressing. Ooh, this deck seems busted. I think we keep this based on the power of Gemstone Cavern. The thing I dislike about this, we don't actually have a cascade spell or a beanstalk. So there is a chance that we just draw awkwardly and get run over. But I like that we are stealing the play from our opponent essentially with this Gemstone Cavern. Our deck, it draws such an ungodly amount of cards that going down a card for Gemstone Cavern means literally nothing. It means nothing at all. All right, so we will start with the Gemstone Cavern. Temple Garden. We have a land opponent. Where's your land? Forest. And passes. Lauren Revealed. Well, I guess we can just try to hard cast that. Yeah, let's just Windswept Heath go. We would like to get a Triome, I think, is our main goal. Carpusin Forest and Patchy again. Well, crack the Windswept Heath. Grab the Jeskai Triome. Rugerin Triome. Actually, if we get Zagoth and then we play Steam Vents, green, well, it still doesn't do it, does it? Yeah, let's get Rugerin. That's fine. Up a Beanstalk. Up a Beanstalk. That's a good draw. Well, we will just play Up a Beanstalk. Draw a card. The fun has begun. Nisa. Let's just Steam Vents tapped. How bad can it possibly go? All right, so we got Up a Beanstalk number 1. Card advantage question solved. Now we can Lauren's Revealed to get the other Triome, to turn on the Leyline Binding, to get rid of the Patchy, to draw cards with Up a Beanstalk. Urza Saga. That is a good one. Urza Saga is a way we could lose to this deck, I think. Aww. Are you actually going to attack our Beanstalks? That's not fair. You're gonna exile the Up a Beanstalk. All right. That's not ideal, actually. And an Ozolith. Wow, opponent. Okay, that is a good hand. That is a scarily good hand. We might actually be in trouble after all of our cockiness. We might just be getting run over. How about a Cascade spell for an Up a Beanstalk? How about that? That would be sweet. Leyline Binding. Well, okay, so we play the Forest. It triggers white mana, Lauren Revealed, to get the other Triome and pass the turn. No, how about no whammies? I mean, we're still in a kind of scary spot. Without the Beanstalk to draw cards off these Leyline Bindings, they're merely great instead of broken. Poor us. We only get one mana, pretty much unconditional removal. It does not also draw us cards. Opponent. Well, let's see what this last card is. Ballista's annoying. Ravager scary. That is scary. Hopefully these Leyline Bindings are enough to keep us alive. We really need the Up a Beanstalk. That's the thing we're missing. Well, opponent gets and hits us. We take 1,000,000. So we drop to 11. A fetch land. Okay, so Windswept Heath. Make a mana that's red. Crack Windswept Heath. Get a Plains. Make a mana that's white. Draw Bloodbraid. So green, red. Bloodbraid. That was a good hit. Please an Up a Beanstalk. We need the Up the Beanstalk. Teferi. I mean, Teferi's okay. It's not an Up the Beanstalk, though. Red, whatever. So if we target Ravager, they have to sack the Ozolith? All right, let's fire the Ravager. If they sack the Ozolith, that's fine. If they let it go, that's fine. Okay, opponent just lets it go. They get counters on the Ozolith, counters on Patchy. Well, we will Teferi, bounce the Urza Saga. Pass the turn. Yeah, I think we gotta leave both back just in case they draw removal. We do need to chump here. Next turn, Shardless Agent is definitely getting us speed. Sometimes Bloodbraid does not get us the beans. We know Shardless Agent will, though. All right, Urza Saga's back. Sure. All right, go to combat. Counters on the Patchy. I mean, we do get to chump, so this is fine. I mean, we have to chump or we die. So block with the Bloodbraid. All right, Shardless Agent. Show us some beans. Ooh, Solitude is pretty good. Well, take up Teferi. Shardless Agent. Cascades into Up a Beanstalk. Finally. Draw a card. Get the Shardless Agent. Play the Triome. Make a mana. I don't think we're going to use it, though. This probably makes sense. Let's, actually, on second thought, let's Solitude pitch Omnath. Draw a card. Our opponent is going to gain about infinite life here. Get rid of the Patchy. I think this is the best line. So we get rid of the Patchy, which is getting huge. It's going to put a ton of counters on the Ozolith. We can Leyline Binding the Ozolith. Now I think we actually get to start attacking. All right, we have gotten back into that position. We have stabilized the game. This time we have 39 cards in our deck, so running out of cards is not a big concern. 5 minutes, 46 seconds on the clock. That is a bit of a concern. Well, yeah, we need 2 Leyline Binding to get rid of this Ozolith, or else we risk death. Ugh, Misty. That's not great. All right, get rid of the Ozolith. They couldn't kill us this turn anyway because it was going to be Summoning Sick and tapped, but it would have been a lethal Ink Moth for next turn, and we can't Leyline Binding an Ink Moth. Could really use a nice hit off this Nissa. Ooh, Omnath. Wow, 1, 2, 3. That's not the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing Omnath. Windswept Heath. Get some triggers. Omnath gains us life. Nissa makes us a mana. Crack the Windswept Heath. Get a Sacred Foundry tapped. Omnath makes us mana. Nissa finds us under 5 minutes. Bloodbraid. So now we get to Bloodbraid. Bloodbraid spins us into what? Up the Beanstalk. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to be. This is where we can actually close out the game pretty quickly. Oh my god, that's Force of Vigor. Was not expecting just to draw the Force of Vigor. Oh, we don't have the mana for it. Okay, well, take up to Fairy. Okay, we did not tap in a way to let us Force of Vigor, but that should be fine. So we have up Leyline Binding. Opponent's gonna make a construct. Sure, it's a 1/1. Not the strongest construct I've ever seen. I mean, we're back up to 13. We got the Force of Vigor for next turn. We got double beans on the battlefield. We got a Leyline Binding. I think we're good. Can we avoid timing out? In the brutal timeout death opponent. Okay, gonna make the construct. Yes. Well, I think this deck might actually be Breaking Modern. Maybe it is actually better than the One Ring. And Watsy commented on this and said it was for limited. It was a signpost uncommented for limited. Leyline Binding. I think we just have to hit the hardened scales, right? Get rid of the hardened scales. I guess our opponent doesn't have the mana to activate the Ink Moth at the moment anyway. Passing. I mean, this is about to go good for us though, because we get to untap, play a Misty Rainforest, get some triggers, gain some life, make a mana, and then crack Misty. Hopefully we have a fetchable land left just for Nissa purposes. We do. Island, trigger. So Omnath makes us mana. I mean, this might be the end. This might be the actual end of the game. Make a, doesn't even matter, blue mana. There's a Solitude. Cast a Solitude. Draw some cards. Get rid of the Ravager. So get that out of here. I almost feel bad for our opponent. Just like what a beatdown this is. Opponent sacks it, counters on the Ozolith. So all we have to do is not die to Ink Moth. That is the only way this goes wrong. So opponent, or timeout. That would be the other way this goes wrong. I think we can avoid timing out though. This game's gonna end in like 2 turns. To Fairy, bounce a construct. Draw a Flooded Strand. To Fairy, the construct. Ozolith gets a counter. We win every game with like 2 minutes on the clock. Opponent, down to 10. We will pass the turn. Discard a Flooded Strand. All right, opponent. With this Force of Vigor and double Fire Ice in hand, I don't know how we can lose from here, honestly. I think we have successfully done it. And is this deck beatable? Have we even lost a game with it? Have we even lost a game? Maybe I misread. Oh, we lost. We got stormed off our very first game of our league. I will say every match is like an hour. We always have 7 cards in hand. We're discarding hand size. That's a bigger risk than running out of cards. I mean, I also feel like, I know we're constantly riding the clock here and like almost dying. Remember, I picked up the deck in the dark. Have not played the deck. I bet as you play it, you probably get faster with it. Also, we're playing content. Although this game, like our opponent's at 6 minutes too. Like 2 minutes is really low, but our opponent's under 6 minutes. So this has just been a really slow, close match. Good thing we managed to not drop games, because if we were like winning game 1 and losing game 2, we would be timing out every round. Literally every round we would be timing out, because we're winning in 2 games in like with 2 minutes on the clock. Remember the One Ring? When the One Ring first came out, way back in my day of 3 months ago. But remember when the One Ring came out, the power of this, you know what, let's just jump into the next one. The power of this this card advantage engine was something I really never felt before in Magic. Maybe like Necro or something way back in the day, but just that like you play this and you have so many cards you don't know what to do. The One Ring is great, but Beanstalk, when I first heard someone say Up a Beanstalk is better than the One Ring, I laughed. I actually think I laughed out loud. I'm kind of coming around to that possibility. Like, Up a Beanstalk is absurdly broken. How do Wizards not... Watsy, how do you not realize this? How do you not realize this? I mean, now that I give this speech, we're probably just gonna get smacked this round. So maybe that's what happens. All this goes for nothing as we get crushed by Princess of the Dark. But right now we're 3-0, and if it feels as busted everyone said. When everyone started like, oh my god, Up a Beanstalk, Cascade's so busted. I was like, oh yeah, okay, sure. Like, Cascade's busted, I get it. It is lived up to the hype. This deck is, they probably should have banned it. I mean, they probably should have banned it at this point. However, they probably should just test their cards more. If Up a Beanstalk's issue is they just like thought, oh, this is a cute limited card and didn't bother to test it in Modern, that's a real concern. That is a real concern. Especially after like all the stuff about the One Ring and like Lord of the Rings playtesting, where it was kind of like a lot of stuff changed after some of the playtesters saw it. That makes me concerned about Wizards' process of designing cards for formats like Modern. Wow, opponent kept a one-lander? Well, opponent, at least make it hard for us. You don't have to just roll over. You don't have to just roll over and give us the win. Please don't spell pierce this. Okay, they didn't spell pierce it, they spell snared it. One land opponent, so greedy. Ragavan. Okay. Well, what do we draw? Temple Garden. Well, let's just Temple Garden untapped. Play to Fairy. Bounce the Monkey. Draw a Shardless Agent. Pass the turn. So if our opponent draws a land, they could dash Ragavan and kill to Fairy. I guess they could also hit our face, but I don't know if that's a good plan. Okay, they draw the land. Are you killing Teferi? Well, they have Unholy Heat. That's fine. Unholy Heat's the Teferi. Well, there is good news here. The good news is we get to do a little cascading. Actually, let's play this land first. I don't know what I'm scared of, but just in case, let's play the Shardless Agent with a land up. Into the beans. Play the beans. Stop spell snaring us, opponent. No, really? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, our opponent has come prepared for the bean meta. Spell snares for days. I mean, I guess that's why they kept the one-lander. They kept the one-lander because they figured they would be able to stop all of our beans. The problem our opponent's going to have is this expressive iteration is big for them. Hitting their land drop and maybe playing Ragavan. The problem they're going to have, though, is they're behind on lands. We can just start, like, hard casting Solitudes. There's a Spire Bluff. Monkey, there's the monkey. Well, Misty Rainforest, crack it. We'll grab this Triome to have all of our lands. Well, let's just Windswept Heath, crack Windswept Heath, Island. We're just gonna cast a Solitude. Main phase, get rid of the monkey, full price. It'd be better if it was drawing us with beans, but get rid of it, get in there, start attacking, hit you down to 17. This might be a game where we're actually hard casting Lauren's Revealed. Doesn't happen often, but opponent, Dragon Rage Shanala. I can see why our opponent kept this hand now. Opponent kept a hand that, like, is really good if they draw one land. It looks sketchy when they were doing nothing, but they kept, like, the ton of spell snares, double expressive iteration. So they got a really good hand. They just need to hit that one land, and eventually they did. I want a Lauren's Revealed, but I think it's better just to Bloodbraid. I think Bloodbraid's more optimal here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bloodbraid Elf. If we spin into beans and they spell snared, I'm actually gonna cry. Shard. Oh, we're gonna spin into beans. Okay. How many spell snares can you possibly play in 2023? Please. Oh, we resolved an Up the Beanstalk. It happened. It finally happened. All right. So we get the Shardless Agent. We get the Bloodbraid Elf. Play the Sacred Foundry tapped. Do some attacking. I guess cascading into Teferi there would have been fine too. We're gonna go attack you. If they want to trade, that's fine. Like, we win the late game. Found it. Steam Vents. Untapped down to 14. Looks like a Unholy Heat. So gonna kill the Solitude and Surveil. Takes the beats. All right, down to 11. I mean, in theory, this Solitude is a good answer to Murktide. I mean, opponents got to be a little scared. They're losing the race at the moment. Ooh, is this a big Murktide? I mean, big Murktide plus Counterspell would be kind of scary. Okay, there's a big Murktide. Uh-oh, has the tide turned against us? Well, let's cycle one of these Lawrence revealed. Grab a Hallowed Fountain. Untap. The problem is if they counterspell this Solitude, we're kind of in a really bad spot. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we get a Solitude. Cast a Solitude. Draw a card. More Blood Braids. Whew, resolves. Okay, that is big. That is big. So we get rid of the DRC. We play the tap land. We go attacking. Yeah, if our opponent had a counter there, they did gain our opponent a bunch of life, but their graveyard has been emptied. The Murktide is dealt with. All right, another Unholy Heat. Was this too greedy of an attack? Maybe we should have left, they surveilled to the top. All right. This does not give us a Ragavan blocker, which is awkward. Would really love to find a Fury would be spectacular. Okay, Preordain. Wow, can they just reassemble a Murktide? Are we cycling the Lawrence revealed? Maybe. Our hand is not doing much. Ledger Shredder. Okay. Well, let's cycle the Lawrence. Are we going to cast it? Is there a chance we cast this? Seems very unlikely. All right, let's cycle Lawrence revealed. Grab a Steam Vents. Misty Rainforest. Well, 1, 2, 3. Play Nissa. Play a land. Make a mana. Crack the land. Okay, so they're going to Lightning Bolt the Nissa. All right. Opponent is down to 1 card in hand. Well, now I guess we don't really have a choice but to spin this Bloodbraid. Is Murktide the answer to this deck? This is going to let our opponent Ledger Shredder. I think we're actually hoping to spin into a Teferi here. I think a Teferi is better than Beans here. All right, well, it's Beans. Shardless Agent. Well, if we're doing this, we want a Leyline Binding or a Fury. Either one. We've drawn so many Blood Braids. So many Blood Braids. Well, we are swinging with literally the crew. I mean, maybe we can just win the race. We are still, like, as scary as this feels, technically we still are ahead on board. We still got double Beans. We just haven't drawn anything to trigger him this game. Opponent. Preordain. Sure. Well, let's see if our opponent can kill us. Kill us or do something impactful enough to not die to our super... This deck can actually be kind of aggro, can't it? Like, sometimes you just, like, play a bunch of Blood Braids and attack. Like, I'm surprised at just how little our Beans are doing this game and how much our very motley crew of Cascade attackers is doing. Like, our opponent's at 4. They're almost dead here. Scries 2 to the bottom. Did not find what they were looking for and scoops it up. Well, all right. Maybe even Murktide is not a match for the power of the Beans. Commandeer, probably not. Endurance does seem okay. It also blocks the flyers. I do kind of like Endurance. Could maybe see an argument for Subtlety. Is Subtlety worth it? Is there an argument for Elish Norn? Because how's our opponent going to deal with it? Let's cut 1 fetch for the Gemstone Caverns. Honestly, we probably don't change much. We can probably go down like the Nissa for the Endurances. Maybe 1 Omnath? Yeah, let's try it like that. At least that went faster. There's 18 minutes on the clock. That makes me feel a little better. Even if we lose this game, at least there is realistically enough time to play game 3. We have a bunch of pitch cards. Opponent, Steam Vents untapped. DRC. Omnath. Well, tap land, go. Could also just use lands. Lands would also be fine. Lands get us to Shardless Agent, which gets us to the Beans. I guess there's also a world where our opponent just like runs out another creature too and we Fury him into oblivion here. Opponent goes to combat and then hitting us. Down to 19, sure. And passes, interesting. Well, crack the Windswept Teeth. We need green. So I guess we just get the Zaggoth Triome. It's either that or we just get Temple Garden. Green, blue. Yeah, let's take Zaggoth Triome. Steam Vents. Pass the turn. I mean, we can Solitude. We can Solitude pitch the Omnath. Oh, opponent didn't do anything. What is our opponent's hand? Must be a pile of counter spells. Opponent gonna crack the Scalding Ton. And there's the expressive iteration. It'd be sweet if our opponent did not find an untapped land. Then we get to actually Shardless for the Beans. All right, there's the Spire Bluff. So they do have the untapped land. Mishra's Bauble. Yup. And opponent cracks the Bauble. Goes to combat. Hits us. I think what we're going to do here, so opponent gets to draw. Well, let's play the Forest. I think we actually just pass. I think our plan here is to pass in Endurance. Endurance, shuffle in your graveyard, hopefully the Dragon Rage Channeler, and then untap and do hopefully even better things. Didn't mill it. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's just do it. Not trying to turbo to Murktide apparently, because I could have milled that card and then done it. All right, opponent's gonna counterspell. Sure. We just draw the Up a Beanstalk. Well, Windswept Heath. Crack, Windswept Heath. How scared are we of Blood Moon? Get a plains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bloodbraid Elf. Spin into some beans. Do we have the Spell Snare? I mean, it does seem like our opponent is built with our deck in mind. I will give them credit for that. Oh, Spell Pierce. They got counters for days. All right, so opponent Spell Pierces. Mills a Ragavan. We can't pay. Well, I mean, I guess the question's going to be, does our opponent have, like, do they have a big Murktide? Do they have a Blood Moon? I still think we outvalue them eventually. Do we get to eventually? That's the real question. Opponent hits us with the DRC. Down to 10. A Tuara. Kind of want to draw a land here. Okay, there's a big Murktide. Opponent passes. Up the Beanstalk. Ooh, resolves. Okay, we get to draw a card. Leyline Binding, draw a card. Opponent has a counterspell. Sure. But we have our engine going now, which really changes the equation. So we get to draw a card. It's an Up a Beanstalk. We will Solitude to Fairy, draw a card, get rid of the Murktide. This deck is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. Up a Beanstalk, draw a card. Our opponent's doing everything. They are doing everything right. They just can't beat Up the Beanstalk. They're doing it all. I mean, maybe we're speaking too soon. Maybe we're about to brutally die here. Our opponent does have a Dragon Rage Channeler. It is possible. Maybe they just out aggro us. We do have this Omnath in hand, though. If we draw a land, we can start gaining back life. Expressive Iteration. And I mean, wow, they get a lot of counters. Milling the Mystical Dispute. The problem our opponent's going to run into now is, like, we have double Up a Beanstalk. We got the Binding. We have a Fury. We can actually cascade into the third Up a Beanstalk. Opponent finds the Blood Moon. Do they have the land for it? Even if they do, it doesn't beat us. Oh, do they not? Oh, they don't. Oh, God. That might be the end of that. So 1, 2, and 3. We will Shardless Agent, Lil Cascading into a Up a Beanstalk, draw a card, and then we will Fury, pitching a Bloodbraid Elf, draw 3 cards. It's so ridiculous. Opponent counterspells the Fury that draws us 3 cards anyway. Sure, you got us. Oh, look at that. That's another Fury. Who would have thought? Fury, exiling a Fury, draw 3 cards. Okay, yep. This Dragon Rage Channeler had been slightly annoying, so I think we gotta deal with that. Just in case. So, Dragon Rage Channeler down. We are not playing the same game as our opponent. We are playing, Up the Beanstalk, whatever this is. Our opponent's, and remember, like, I don't think I'm being super hyperbolic. Our opponent's playing the deck that was the monster of the meta. Like, a year ago, whenever it was, like, Is It Murktide was the deck. This was the deck. Ragavan, too good. Murktide, too, like, it's not like we're beating up on some janky brew. It's just not the same. Like, they're doing magic things, and we just Up a Beanstalk, and when your Fury is drawn, we saw it right there, a perfect example. Like, we Fury, our opponent has counterspell, whatever, we draw 3 cards anyway and hit another Fury. Like, that's Up a Beanstalk with these evoke elementals and leyline bindings. We at that point, we just don't care. Like, sure, counter it, please. Yes, eventually, since you're not Up a Beanstalking and drawing 3 cards with your evoke elementals, eventually you're going to run out of cards than we are, and we're going to win. All right, one more to go for the 5-0, but this deck is, well, sweet. Going for the 5-0 with Beans. We've lost a single game along the way. We got stormed out in our very first game. Since then, the challenge has been not timing out. We've not dropped a game, but we have come very close to timing out literally every match. So this deck is so ridiculously busted. Wow, is it busted? I heard it was good. Everyone was saying it was busted. I didn't know if I believe them. Well, I'm a believer now. I'm a believer in the Beans. All right, here we go. Going for the 5-0. I mean, we're going to keep this, and this hand is pretty good. Grief. Oh, can we beat a scam? We don't actually have the ability to Solitude here. This is kind of unfortunate. We don't have a second white card, or we could Solitude the Grief and avoid the scamming. I mean, we still should be okay. Like, one of the upsides of this deck Bear, I know, I don't like getting scammed either, but it's okay though. It's okay, we'll be okay. All right, there's the Undying Evil. One of the upsides of this deck is Beanstalk generates a lot of card advantage. This does make the grief big enough that we can't kill it with, I mean, do they just have to take the Fury here? Yeah, all right, so opponent takes the removal. Worried about us just killing them. Let's see what we draw. We are gonna need green mana. A way to kill grief would be good. Well, there's green mana. Play the Trio, pass the turn. So what we can do here, assuming nothing goes horribly wrong, also Thoughtseize. All right, well, this is getting worse. Opponent takes the Fire Ice. Wow, this is the one land scam hand. We'll see if we're fast enough. We will see. Bloodstained Mire. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. Opponent passes. We draw Omnath. Well, we will just play a tap land past the turn. We can cycle the Lauren's Revealed. I don't know if we're going to be fast enough or not. I do not know. We can cycle Lauren's Revealed. We can cascade into Beans. We're going to be at 12. We're going to be at 8. Maybe triple Thoughtseize is actually enough to beat this deck. Opponent gets and hits us. Solitude is our best draw just to answer this grief issue. Opponent. Voidwalker. All right, well, we will Island Cycle. We will grab a... Do we grab a Literal Island? What? Yeah, we can take a Literal Island. There's a Voidwalker. The clock is increasing. Flooded Strand, that's not gonna do it. Uh-oh. Well, if we don't top deck, we might just be dead. Losing the... Oh, I feel like we should beat Scam too. But apparently triple Thoughtseize being on the draw is fast enough. Shardless Agent into Up a Beanstalk. This draw is huge. This is a huge draw. We need a Fury. We need a Solitude. It's a Misty Rainforest. Okay. We need to draw Leyline Binding, Fury, Solitude this turn. We have 1 turn to do it. The Omnath's not going to save us here. Opponent gets and hits us. We can't stop any of this. We drop to 4. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Up the Beanstalk. Well, I mean, we got to play that. Oh, come on. This is a huge game-changing draw. Up a Beanstalk. We need an Evoke Elemental or a Leyline Binding right now. Oh, opponent has a Bowmaster too. Oh, it's the Scam Nut draw. It's the Scam Nut draw. It's a Solitude. Okay, this does give us a shot. No, it doesn't because of the Bowmaster. We lost. We actually lost a game. They were on the play, and they did have triple Thoughtseize draw, so they did have their best draw. I feel like we should just straight up stomp Scam. Like, obviously, Scam has a nut draw that can beat basically anyone, but I feel like, in general, we should just beat Scam. We should just be better than Scam. Teferi does stop the scamming, but it doesn't do much. Let's go down 1 Teferi for another endurance, run it like that. Here we go. We're on the play. We'll see if this matters. Uh-oh, this hand's bad. Bad. Can't Solitude, no mana. Yeah, we got a mulligan. Wow, this hand is... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no! Oh, we have been just so betrayed by the magic gods. Oh, dear. Oh, we're almost certainly dead here. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, this is we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose a 5-0. Well, I guess this is a good reminder. No matter how broken your deck is, we're still playing Magic. And Magic is a high variance game. And sometimes, no matter how broken your deck is, sometimes you mull to 4, going for the 5-0, and just get absolutely punished. And that's what we're seeing here. We are seeing absolute max punishment. Well, I mean, there's no playing around Blood Moon or anything. We're in the full-on high risk category. Well, we drew an Up a Beanstalk, which is actually incredibly helpful here. Yeah, Bear, it's okay, Bear. It's okay, I know. I don't like mulliganing either. It's okay, though. All right, Up a Beanstalk. Bear, it's okay. It's okay, we got Up a Beanstalk. We're gonna get back in it. We'll see. We did find the Up a Beanstalk. Our opponent does get to hit us with Ragavan, and if they go Ragavan Blood Moon, we lose the game. Opponent goes attacking. But with 4 cards, I don't think we can afford to, I think we just gotta go high risk, high reward. Opponent, Lauren's Revealed. Here comes the scamming. It's a grief. It pitches a Malakar Rebirth. It takes a Up the Beanstalk. It takes a Shardless Agent and then the Up a Beanstalk. All right. Yeah. Even with Up a Beanstalk, I'm not sure we get out of this at this point. So opponent can take the Up a Beanstalk. I guess we need to draw Leyline Binding into a land. A Breeding Pool, which will play tapped and pass the turn. Oh, what a brutal way for this to end. I thought we had the 5-0. I thought we had the 5-0 on lock, but scam's gonna scam. There is one other playable deck in Modern. I don't know. If you've played this matchup a lot, let me know. My expectation, seriously, my expectation, that is absolutely ridiculous. My expectation is this is a good matchup for us, but we had very, very bad draws and our opponent had their nut draws. So, I mean, that's Modern. Opponent to fairy, so cascade no longer works, bounces the Up a Beanstalk. Yeah, I mean, and their Ragamon's even high rolling. Like, this is going bad for us and right for our opponent in literally every imaginable way. I have to imagine they also have Orcish Bowmasters here. All right, no Bowmaster. Oh, they have it. All right, there it is. Yeah, so yeah, our opponent just, yeah. Well, we really low rolled, our opponent really high rolled. We hit a Triome and dead. I mean, I guess we settle for a 4-1 and 5 treasure chests. A disappointing ending, but I think that's a good reminder. So my impression of this deck, this is going to be a super short wrap up. My impression of this deck is it is absolutely busted. I believe there are 2 playable archetypes in Modern right now. One is Scam, one is 4 or 5 color value piles with Up a Beanstalks and 1 rings. That's the meta. Those are the 2 realistic things that you can be doing. We saw in that last match, like, Scam did beat us. I still feel like we should beat Scam in general, but remember, Magic is a high variance game, and we saw that in that last match. Our opponent won the die roll, had the Scam nut draw of 3 Thought Seizes by turn 2, so we just got our hand stripped, and then game 3, 1 lander, 0 lander, forced to keep a 4-card hand, and they did have the Grief Scam anyway, and that's just like, what are you gonna do? Like, mulling to 4 against Scam. We didn't really have a choice because none of our other hands were even like somewhat functional. So we had to go for it. But I will say, I mean, Up a Beanstalk is incredibly broken and don't know what to say about the current state of Modern. Honestly, like, I feel, all right, little mini rant here on the wrap up. The deck's busted. There's something else to say about it. Just play it, draw all the cards, you win the game, try not to time out. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. The idea though that WotC like thought of this as a draft card, how do you not realize Solitudes and Furies and Lineland Bindings are like the most played cards in Modern? They're like dominating the format. How do you not think that through? Like, it's kind of like wild to me that Wizards apparently thought this was like a random draft common, like when it's actually just like breaking Modern. So I don't know about the design and testing process of some of these cards. Kind of feels like Modern like might not be very high on the list. I don't know. There's probably, one intern who's tasked with testing Modern or something, and they were working on all the rares and mythics, all the Universes Beyond cards, and didn't make it to Up a Beanstalk, which makes a lot of sense. But I guess it shows the power of stuff like that slipping through. But anyway, let's crack open these 5 treasure chests. Was hoping for the 5-0, but scam doing scam things. Chest 1. Ooh, that's actually a hit. Also, positive note on Moto right now, treasure chests are like insane value. If you go to GuiltBots, it has an EV calculator of boosters. Right now, they sell treasure chests for 2.22 ticks. The EV is 2.52. So you gain 0.3 of a tick per treasure chest. How much is subtlety these days? Ooh, that's a hit. That's a hit. 14.5 ticks. All right, that's a win. Let's just keep opening evoke elementals. Now Fury. Ooh, Virtue of Persistence. Is that worth anything? One of the weird quirks of Moto is the showcase is sometimes worth less. Yeah, it's sometimes worth less because it's not redeemable. Regular Wilds of Eldraine you can redeem for paper cards. Can't do that with the showcase cards. Also, a Master of Cruelty is kind of a iconic against the odds card. We'll have to revisit Master of Cruelty sometime. All right, next chest. What do we get? Even Heartstabber. Oh god. 5 or more mana values in the graveyard. That mechanic flops so hard. My goodness, did that mechanic flop. Lannis is a cool card, though. I do like Lannis. Can do some cool things with Lannis. All right, 2 more to go. A Tale for the Ages. I still feel like this is a competitively costed card. We haven't seen it take off yet, but I feel like it's competitively costed. Darksteel Juggernaut. Not as competitively costed. Poor Juggernauts. All right, last shot. Can we hit a 1 ring? Or a Sphinx of the Chime. 6 mana, 5/6, discard 2 non-land cards with the same name to draw 4 cards. Seems good in like Persistent Petitioners, Relentless Rats, something like that. You could probably combo off with this, honestly. And some play points. Well, we really can't complain. We opened 5 treasure chests, we got a bunch of play points, and we got a subtlety, and we went 4-1. I wish we'd beat the scam, but whatever. This deck is busted. So TLDR, Beans are they are as broken as everyone said. People were not lying about the beans being broken in Modern, and I think that we saw that today. My goodness, is this deck busted. So anyway, that's Beanstalk combo. Beanstalk or Cascade, whatever you want to call it. The deck's ridiculous. Thank you, Bear. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.